Hey everyone, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you guys for joining us for this Sabbath Bible study. We're excited that you're with us. Thank you for supporting us, sharing our videos, watching our videos, doing what people subscribing, liking, sharing all this stuff so that we can grow as a channel, turning on notifications so you know when a new video is coming up. Thank you guys so much. Let's enjoy our Sabbath today. Let's look to the Lord and try to spend time with him. Today, we're going to talk about a portion of scripture that's really cool. We're still in Deuteronomy, and we're going to talk about, I titled this one Prophetic Pictures of His People, and we're going to get into Deuteronomy 29. You can see the portion there. It's actually a double portion as we approach the Feast of Trumpets. And we're going to talk about that. But as we're going through these verses, put on your prophetic glasses. Let's put our prophetic glasses on and see what this verse is saying to us for not just the time that it was written, but for today. There's a very key, there's a lot of keys here of what's being said to us today. So without any further ado, let's get into Deuteronomy 29, beginning in verse 9. Excuse me, I got something in my throat today. It says this. So, in verse 9, keep the words of this covenant and do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. You stand today, all of you, before the Lord your God. Look at who's standing here. The chiefs, the tribes, your elders, and your officers, even all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and the alien who is within your camps. Okay, so we got the people of Israel, but we also have the alien here. We also have the foreigner, right? From the one who chops your wood to the one who draws your water. So everyone who is who has chosen to be part of God's people, they are there, that you may enter into a covenant with the Lord your God today. Oh, so it's everyone that was there, not just, as people say, the Jews. And into this oath which the Lord your God is making with you. All right. I highlighted a few things on these verses so that you can, it would draw your attention to it, right? In order that he may establish you today as his people, and that he may be your God, just as he spoke to you and as he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, not you with you alone am I making this covenant and this oath, but both with you, those who stand here today with us in the presence of the Lord our God, and with those who are not with us here today. Who do you think he's talking about there? Oh, very cool. Verse 29. Now the generations to come, your sons who rise up after you. All right. Yeah, we're talking about Israelites, and the foreigner who comes from a distant land, when they see the plagues of the land and the diseases which the Lord has afflicted, all the nations will say, why has the Lord done this to the land? Why this great outburst of anger? Then men will say, because they forsook the covenant of the Lord their God, the God of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. They went and served other gods and worshiped them, gods they have not known and whom he did not allot to them. Okay, so pretty clear there. Therefore, the anger of the Lord burned against the land to bring upon it every curse which is written in the book. And the Lord uprooted them from their land in anger and in fury and in great wrath, and cast them into another land, as it is this day. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our sons forever. That we may observe all the words of this law. So it's as we look at this, right? This is a really powerful prophetic language. There's a lot of things going on here. Let's look at a few. What do we see in this passage? Lot to pick up, but the first thing we're going to see is that he is establishing a covenant with a people. through his law and through his Torah. He says multiple times that you may observe all the words of this law, that this will be the covenant with me and with your sons and with those far off, those that aren't here yet, the foreigner, the stranger, not just the people of Israel, not just the people we call the Jews, right? With all Israel and with foreigners. Okay, that's you and me. Whether we're part of Israel, we don't know. Remember, Israel included all 12 tribes. The people we call the Jews today are only 2 tribes at best. All right, mostly just one tribe, the tribe of Judah. So we can't. There people that are part of this covenant are from 10 other tribes and the foreigner, right? We just saw it. We just read it. Okay, the desolate land. The land would become desolate because of people forsaking that covenant. All right. He tells us how to handle the land. He tells us how to love one another, how to love your neighbor, how to love him. And we've thrown all that stuff to the side and say, oh, Jesus fulfilled all that stuff, so we don't have to do any of it. Okay. But maybe we should. All right. And so because of that, he is going to cast them out of the land, which has taken place. Remember, the land that he promised to them is much larger than what the political nation of Israel is inhabiting at this point. So, with all that in mind, lots of stuff there, but let's take a closer look at the verses that we just read in the original language of Hebrew, specifically a few parts that I want to take a look at. All right. This is verses 27, 28, or 28 and 29, depending on what version of the Bible you're using. Okay. But there's a couple of anomalies here in the Hebrew text. I don't know if you can see what's circled there, but in the verse 28, there is an enlarged lamed, and then in verse 29, there are a bunch of markings above a couple of the words. Okay, I'm going to show it to you in this Bible right here. This is a Bible I picked up for my birthday. Pretty cool. A friend of mine had it, and so I wanted to have it, and I'm using this for the text because these are actually pictures from this Bible that I took so that you could see the original text a little clearer. And you can see right there on the right side of your screen, there's an enlarged lamed in that word right there, and on the left screen there are those little markings, those little dots above some Hebrew words. So we've got a couple of anomalies here that we're going to take a look at that might point us to some deeper things in the text. Again, these 2 scribal markings that we're going to focus in on are the enlarged lamed and the dots above the words, okay, in that next verse. So let's look first at the enlarged lamed. This is the verse that it's in, and I've highlighted the part that has the enlarged lamed. Deuteronomy 29:28. The Lord uprooted them from their land in anger and in fury and in great wrath. Why? Because they had forsaken the covenant, and he cast them into another land as it is this day. Cast them into another land. You can see right there, that's the word that has the enlarged lamed up there in the top left of your screen. You see that enlarged lamed. This is, and he cast them. So let's take a look at what that could mean. Why do they do that as a scribal mark? Well, first of all, the lamed is a shepherd's staff or a goad. We say it's the staff of authority. Okay, so this is the Lord's staff. All right, this is the one who is an authority. This is his staff, and he's the one who is casting them into another land, again because of their forsaking of the covenant. But that shepherd's staff is used to strike, to provide discipline, but it's also, remember, it's got the other side that has the crook, the hook that can grab them and lead them back. Actually, if you look at the lamed, it actually even looks like at the bottom there that it's a shepherd's crook, a staff that you can hook that sheep and bring them back. So it tells us he's the one that's going to strike with a consequence because of their behavior and push them out, but he's also the one that is going to bring them back from their captivity. So we see prophetically right here, we have a picture of a couple things. that he is the one that moves us into the wilderness. Remember, the first example of this we have is in Eden when they forsook his covenant. He made a covenant with Adam and Eve. They forsook that covenant, and so they had to be cast out of the garden, right? Then we had Abraham, and all of his people end up in Goshen, which is part of Egypt, right? And then they serve other gods there. They get brought into captivity, into slavery. And so they are in exile once again in Egypt, and they were cast out of their land. Then we see it in Assyria with the house of Israel, the 10 tribes in the north. Then we see it in Babylon with the tribes in the south, Judah and Benjamin. We see that we've all been dispersed into the nations, and it's all contingent on the fact that we forsake the covenant that God has given us. So when we forsake the covenant that God has given us, he casts us out, but he promises that he's going to bring us back if you look at the rest of the verse. Now, we're pretty cool that we see that there, but let's look at the next verse. Let's look at these dots above these words in verse 29. Let's read it. It says, the secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our sons forever, that we may observe all the words of this law. Again, if you look at the top left corner there, you can see those scribal marks. There's these little dots above all those words. Now, there's dots from time to time over words, over letters and words, but not like this, where there is one over every letter, where it says these revealed things belong to us, or are for us, it says here, and for our children. Those two words have scribal markings above them that go every single letter there, and to draw attention to this, right? So what could that mean? Well, got a few thoughts for you. Let's take a look. My little picture there is going to cut off some of this, but let's go to a different view that may help you. Okay, so first of all, it's over to us and our sons forever, or to us and our sons is really what the markings are over. And if you count the marks over those two words, there are exactly 10 of them. Okay, here's what's interesting. All right, when Judah, the tribe of Judah, the southern kingdom, was exiled into Babylon, many of them came back during the time of Nehemiah, Ezra, Zerubbabel. They came back to the land of Jerusalem and they rebuilt, and many Jews still live in that area. Why? Because, like I said, Jews, because they're from the tribe of Judah. But the 10 tribes in the north were dispersed into all the nations. They're lost into the nations. Now, I want you to remember, this is in Deuteronomy 29. This is written hundreds and hundreds of years before these events took place. But there would be 10 tribes that were scattered into the nations. But here's what we see marked above there. It says that these things revealed would belong to us and to our sons. Okay, so the 10 tribes of Israel, even though they're dispersed into the nations, this covenant is still for them, right? The covenant is for them. They're dispersed into the nations, and he will bring them back to that covenant, to us and our children. Notice there's one more mark over the ayin, which is the word until, which means what? Well, a couple of things here. First of all, it's over the word until, meaning what? That it goes on forever. There's no end to his covenant, right? There's no beginning, there's no end. He has established his covenant with us for eternity, and that's the last word that's even in the verse. So contextually, all this makes sense with the scribal markings that are there. So we've got the 10 tribes that are the nation of Israel, right? Remember, they may have forgotten their heritage, right? Because this took place in 722 BC. Okay, think of 722 BC until today, right? All these people could have lost so much of their heritage, because many of our ancestors came to this country in America, or maybe where you are, in in 1492, where I live, right, in America. They came here 1492, 1600, 1700, 1776 is when we declared ourselves a nation, right? And so from that time to 2023, we've already lost all of our heritage just about from the places we came from. Think about the people from the tribes of Israel who have been dispersed into the nation since 722 BC, before Christ, right? So clearly they may have lost their identity in the nations, but these dots are showing a picture of, again, yes, he cast them out, like we saw with the Lamed, the staff of authority, but he's drawing them back, all 10 tribes. But then there's that marking over until. What could that mean? Well, I think it could also be those foreigners, right, who aren't part of the 10 tribes, but they're the foreigners who are grafted into the nation of Israel. Again, go look all this stuff up for yourself. Don't take my word for it, but pretty amazing insights here. And here is what's cool about this verse. It says that there are revealed things, but there are secret things as well. Well, think about the time this is being written. They didn't know about our Messiah. Maybe that mystery is pointing to Yeshua, who is going to bring all of this together. Remember what he said? I came for the lost sheep of Israel. Pretty cool. So again, as we look at these things, what I see in these verses is, which is really cool, is just a prophetic picture of Yeshua bringing back all his people to the land that belongs to him in the millennial reign, in the millennial kingdom. When he comes and sets up his kingdom on this earth, we get to see this beautiful thing. Actually, if we fast forward in the portion to Deuteronomy 30, we even see that picked up in a greater way. Deuteronomy 30 and verse 1 says this: so it shall be when all these things have come upon you, the blessing and the curse. Okay, so we've got to have the blessing that's come upon us, and the curse has to come upon us as well, which I have set before you. And you call them to mind in all the nations where the Lord your God has banished you. Okay, so we've got to call these things back to mind. He's talking about a future time here, right? We call these things back to mind because guess what? His law, his Torah is forever. And you return to the Lord your God and obey him with all your heart and soul, according to all I commanded you today. There it is again. He's pointing back to this covenant. And you and your sons, let me stop there for a second. It's for everyone who wants to go to Jeremiah and tell me that, well, we're in a new covenant. All right. That he's written the covenant on our hearts. Awesome. Okay. What covenant? This one. Okay. So if it's written on our hearts, we should be walking it out. Then the Lord your God will restore you from captivity and have compassion on you. And here he is. And I will gather you. He will gather you again from all the peoples where the Lord your God has scattered you. Okay, so there's that promise of exactly what we saw in the scribal markings in chapter 29, verses 28 and 29. So really cool. And then if we fast forward to Jesus, Yeshua, our Messiah, talking in the New Testament in chapter 9 of Matthew, he says this: but when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion for them. Why? Because they were scattered. They were weary and scattered like sheep not having a shepherd. So we see even Yeshua making a point here in Matthew that leads us right back to those scribal markings and what those could potentially be placed there for. Just so cool how the Lord put his word together. This is our Messiah, guys. This is the good news of his kingdom that is to come for all those who came into covenant with him, all the way back in Deuteronomy right here, which we read, where the women, the children, the foreigner, and the men who made up the nation of Israel, the judges, the chiefs, everybody, right? All the ones who would call him their Lord and Messiah. And guys, there's a day coming where he's going to bring us back together under one banner of his kingdom. And we're looking forward to that day. So be blessed, Shabbat Shalom, and have a wonderful rest of your day.